We are call this meeting to order, and first item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda.
But I know
Anything to add?
a bunch younger.
I'd accept a motion to accept the agenda as published.
I so move.
Motion by Olivia.
Second.
Second by Roger. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Carries 7-0. Item 3.0, I get to read the Children's Internet Protection Act. USD 503 is compliant with the Children's Internet Protection Act, or CIPA. We have firewalls and filters in place to filter internet content for minors and adults in accordance with our internet safety policy. Any questions concerning this policy can be addressed to Ben McGuire, Technology Director. Item 4.0, approval of the minutes from March 16th and April 3rd special meeting. Yes.
Oh, can I add something to the technology?
Yes, sir.
It was, I sent Lori a message regarding something that I had seen in the Kansas Associated School Board notes regarding, it says districts must navigate privacy rights during pandemic response, and then we have to be aware that our parents should be well informed about the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, so that when we start posting pictures of our seniors on social media, the public needs to know and the parents need to know that they've given permission to do that, and they understand that there could be some difficulties with those pictures being on there with all the internet scammers and
Things like
people that are looking for information.
And as part of the enrollment, when they enroll, they give the consent to publish, or they say, no, you can't publish my child's picture. So they do agree to that at the beginning of the year when they enroll. But during times like this, it's another time to be just extra
So
aware.
how does the principal know that?
Because there's a list, when they do the enrollment form. So when I talked to Eric about it the other day after you sent me your email, I contacted him. There was only one senior whose parent had said we did not have consent to publish when they enrolled.
As long as the parents know, then we're covered
Yeah,
according to
and the
that.
principals know who those kids are. And so sometimes you'll see pictures, like if it's a group picture, they try to make sure that child's not, because we don't put like a smiley face over the child's face. I've seen that in other districts. We don't do that. We just make sure that those kids aren't included in pictures, so we don't have the consent to publish. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Lou. Anything else? 4.0 is approve the minutes for the March 16 regular meeting and April 3rd special meeting.
Move to approve the two meetings.
Motion by Joanne,
Seconded.
second by Olivia. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 7-0. 5.0, consideration of bills and warrants. Hope you all had a chance to look those over. Any questions? If no questions, accept a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Motion by David,
Second.
second by Joanne. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 7-0. 6.0 is hearing of requests and suggestions. That's been suspended until further notice. We have not received any emails or phone calls about this. 7.0, report from the superintendent of schools.
Okay, so as part of the COVID-19 update, I'm a part of that Labette Emergency Preparedness Committee. We were meeting 5 days a week, and now it's down to 2 days a week, Mondays and Thursdays, just via Zoom. So there are 20 confirmed cases in Labette County. 12 of those have fully recovered. So that was great news. They talked a little bit today about planning to open the state and what that might look like and how it's probably going to go from west to east. So we're probably going to be kind of the last. Also, there's commodity distribution this week on the 23rd of April, which is Thursday. It's at the Sutherland's building. And so we, 503, donated the use of our coolers for that. So Highland came and got the coolers, and that's all down there. So those commodity boxes will be distributed on Thursday, and then there will be disaster relief boxes that will be coming as well. I don't have the dates and the details for that, but just so folks know, okay? There's also something called the CARES Act funding, which I sent you that, it looks like this, that little draft. Well, I say little, and it's like 16 pages or something. So that stands for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. And it's based on Title I formulas, like the amount of money that Parsons is going to get is based on our Title I numbers, and so that works out to be approximately $440,000 for Parsons. The first estimate that we have now is $441,611. So that's the estimate. The funds have to be spent by September of 2021. And right now, there are 12 allowable categories, but they're really, really broad. And so that's all still in the works, and there'll be a process for applying for that and all of those things. So,
I have a question on that.
sure.
All right, that's the Title I. What about the $10 million that went towards special education? What do you know about that?
Okay, and as far as what I know, what I've heard, what I understand, is that it's, the schools are going to get $500, isn't that what they said? $500 more per certified special ed teacher. Isn't that what you understood, Linda? That's what I
By
understood.
teacher, not by student?
Right, because of the way the funding is, and Mike may be able to address this, I don't know if that came up in your tri-county meeting,
We haven't talked about it, but funding is based on.
the number of teachers.
Teachers.
Yeah, or staff. Maybe it isn't just teachers, maybe it's
So what would that be approximately total?
for us in Parsons.
That'll all go straight to.
It would all go, I mean, it's going to go to Tri-County is where it's going to go first. But for us, I think and if it includes the paras and the teachers, we've got 2, 4, 6, 10, 12. I'd say we've got 12, 15 teacher people. And then as far as paras, we've probably got at least 20, I'd say.
Lou, we get money every year, is it like 18,
Categorical
20,000?
aid,
Categorical
Per
aid.
teacher?
Per teacher.
Per teacher,
And
the
this-
categorical aid.
20, this year it's 29 something
Something.
per full-time teacher, and paras are at 40% of that.
And what percentage of that goes to their salaries?
But all that goes to special ed co-op, and then it goes for everything, salaries, expenses, then our expenses, our allotment, or our assessment on top of that.
Top of, yeah. So there will be some additional money for special ed. And it's possible that we could take some of this 441,000 and pay for, towards special ed as well, because it does
Because ours was
cost.
high. I
Yeah,
mean,
it does
was
cost
projected to be
more
high
than what
for
we
this
get.
year.
Yeah, the government doesn't fund special ed at 100% or even 80% or.
Keep going down.
So, yeah, how much they fund it at continues to decrease each year, so.
Well, on that note, again, back to the Kansas Association of School Boards, they urged all school board members to contact the members of Congress to request urgent additional funding for special education during this particular COVID, so I want to make sure that's public.
And they also talked about the governor has some discretionary money
Right.
that they're hoping she will give some to special.
To special ed. Mhm. And that was quite a few million,
Uh-huh.
so that would be,
That's good.
it would be good, so. And now, they've done some preliminary talking about opening schools next year and maybe what that might look like, and maybe small groups, maybe regular school. And they've also talked about how there's the potential that in October-ish, if this were to resurface, that then we would have to take a few weeks and stay home again. And so we're planning for that, just so that, we're as prepared as we can be. Because we've never done it before, but now we've done it once, and so we're just going to continue, to get better at that. So also this summer, the plan had been to do the speakers in the building. That had been part of the tech plan, and Ben was going to bring you the costs of all of those speakers. Remember to do the sound system. That no one will come and do them at this point. They won't even give bids. So they will give bids on telephones. That was to be next summer's. And so what I told him was just to go ahead and get the bids for the telephones, those voice over internet phones. That'll probably be at the June meeting. He'll have those bids so we can look, because the phones they'll just deliver in a box, and he and the tech folks can get those put in, whereas they can't do that with the sound system. That way we're continuing to, to work forward and to get those things done. So, okay, what else? Okay, continuous learning plan. We're on week 3. I'm not sure how that happened, but it went kind of quick. It did. So today we had packet pickup. And in order to reduce the exposure, what we're doing is today we picked up packets for 2 weeks. So it's the learning for this week and next week. That was from 11:30 to 12:30 at each of the buildings, and then from 5 until 6. And at Lincoln, what they do is they don't have it from 5 to 6 because they deliver all those packets to people's homes when they don't come from 11 to 12. They leave them, and Garfield does as well. So the next packet delivery will be on Monday, May the 4th. And so, again, 11:30, 12:30, 5 to 6, and
So
that'll
are you
be,
saying Guthridge doesn't? Because I saw them out.
they do hand out packets again at 5 to 6. They
Do they
do.
deliver?
And then whatever's left, they'll call those parents tomorrow. And I'm not sure if they deliver each one of those packets or not. So I think it's the older they get, sometimes, the less they get picked up. But, the more it is to deliver, so.
Okay, so on these packets, as I understand it, the pieces of paper are not turned back in.
That's correct. They ask kids to take pictures of their learning. They can take a picture of the actual paper. They can scan it. They can talk to the teacher. The teachers are still calling every week and talking to parents and students so they can talk to them about what they've done in the packets or what they've done online, but we're not turning back in the papers.
So what are our guidelines on grading and attendance?
Okay, and so that's been really a big hot topic. And here's the reality. We started from the very beginning, and we wanted for everyone to participate and to be engaged. That's what we expect. We expect folks to participate. Now, what that looks like is going to be different in different homes. Because here's the reality. And the Commissioner of Education said it the other day, and I thought it just really made a lot of sense, that the schoolhouse is the big equalizer. And to be honest, I never really thought a whole lot about that, but the more I thought about it, it's the truth. When they come to the schoolhouse, to the school building, I know they have water. I know that they have plenty of food. That they're not going to be hungry when they're there. They're safe when they're there. They all have a device when they're there, and we got some good broadband internet that's going to work. So I know they're fed, and they have an adult that's there, and their whole focus is to help them learn. And so then when you move to an online version, like kind of midstream, there's a whole lot of those things we can't control. And so that's why we've tried to push out the internet. We've given out at least 50 devices today to people so that they can do it. They can get the internet from a bus or from a building, but we still can't equalize all of that. So we have to be really careful because our kids' social emotional health is really what's the most important at this point, but we expect kids to be engaged and to be doing things. And so we're calling and we're checking, but we have to realize that some kids, for example, I have a middle school kid that I know of, he has to watch his 2 little siblings during the day because the mom still has to work. Well, that's a lot to expect him to do school and to get them food and to take care of, meet all of their needs. So it's different, but we expect for kids to be engaged. We're not going to say that your grades are frozen or you don't have to do anything, because if we tell a kid your grade's frozen, they're not going to probably, if we're honest, then their response isn't going to be, wow, I can't wait to do that homework. My grade is frozen.
Well, that's the rumor that's out there.
That it is. And so we're trying to work with every family and parent to do what's as equitable as it can be.
That is in lots of districts. That's the big,
It's everywhere.
yeah,
That's,
it's a problem. It's a concern.
it is.
Yeah.
Because how do you take all those other facts into consideration? We can't grade like we're in school because because we can't control all those things I talked about. So what we're doing is, a kid's grade may be because they participated in a Zoom or they answered the phone call and did a little bit of homework. The teacher was able to talk to the parent or talk to the kid or work it out. How much work gets done depends on a kid's situation. Matt Ray should do everything that's assigned to him. He has food, he has technology, and he really thinks it's the worst thing to be quarantined with the superintendent. But he doesn't have anybody else to watch. He doesn't need to worry about whether his internet's going to work or whether so the situations are different. Someone made the analogy I read that we're all in the same storm and we are, but we aren't all in the same boat. My situation is different than yours, and with parents, it's all different. And so we have to be cognizant of that, aware of that, and appreciate that, and realize we've never done this before. And we really just want to do what's best for kids in this situation, so.
I'd like to hear from board members on this. If people have ideas or expectations, I'd like to hear them. I'm going through this myself in my household and with my students. I'd really like to know, because I have 2 middle school boys, and they have the same Matt Ray concept. However, if you perceive that they're going to put learning above everything else in their life, even though they're quarantined, that is a misnomer.
It is.
And so for them, there could be incentives for my college level students, who I have a 20% participation rate on everything except exams, and it's 97%. 20 to 97%. What's that telling you? They're there for the points, but they're not there for anything else.
Right.
So there's incentives.
Yeah.
So you got one group of kids that can be incentivized
Right.
because they have everything. Then you've got another group that even if you provide incentives, they don't have the capability. I don't know how to fix this problem, but I'd love to hear from others on
Well, I
ideas.
agree with you 100%.
It's-
What I saw on the internet from administrators was, if if a student doesn't do the work, your grade can go down. So is that true or not?
Well, it depends. So here's,
Okay, well, that wasn't said in the
well,
state.
and that's because there's so many layers to it. I wish it were easy, like cut and dry, this is it, you don't do it, you don't get the points. But it just isn't. And so maybe what it looks like for one kid, if they participate, then there's points. And for another, I mean, it's hard to make it equal or make it fair, because you're right. Kids even that have everything that they need right there in their space, the very first thing Matt did was say, okay, well, how much of this do I have to do? And we also have to, I mean, that's just the reality of it. He's a good student. And I think, and part of it too is when you get to springtime anyway, and the weather's nice, and sometimes, kids do a little disengaging in the spring, even when they're in the school building, because there's activities and the weather's nice and those kinds of things. And school isn't the top priority then either.
Our teachers are looking for guidance on
They
this.
are.
I know this in reality.
Right.
Well, I think the
And
best
so
thing,
if we have expectations for our teachers in terms of what standards we want them to uphold for everybody or not everybody or whatever, we need to be communicating them as the board, because those are the hot topics now on these Zoom meetings and buildings. I've got a lot of kids that are not responding. I've got a lot of kids that are not doing this. I've got others. How are we handling this? And I don't know that there's a right answer, but I'd like to hear other people's viewpoints if we have them.
well, I think the best thing they can do is communicate as best they can with the child, and that,
And oftentimes that's through the parent.
Right.
right. But I don't know really with this situation what more you can do than to do your positive call. This is what we need. Can I talk to the student also?
And elementary-wise, we're at about 70% participation in regard to taking pictures, sending stuff in, those kinds of things, about 70%. But there are very, very few that they haven't talked to on the phone. And in fact, the ones that they haven't been able to talk to because they couldn't find them on the phone, either someone made a home visit or they called and asked for law enforcement to do a welfare check. And so then, and it wasn't like the police were going out and say, do your homework. That wasn't it. It was just, they've been calling from the school and haven't been able to get a hold of you. We're worried about you. And, and we've been able to get a hold of most people. So, I mean, we're not playing, we want for the learning to continue, but we have to recognize that it's going to look different for every
Well, then,
kid.
back to Jeff's point, I don't know that we can make a flat statement. If you don't do the work, your grade can go down. I don't want to say that.
Right, and all we've said from the very.
Because I don't know what the circumstances are.
Right, yeah.
It's
And
an
that,
unknown. But on the other hand, the kid that does do the work
Should get
Who
rewarded.
gets punished? Is it the one that doesn't do the work or the one that does do some of the work or all the work?
Well, but the work's not, I mean, there's not an excessive amount of work. I mean, I've got one grandson that just has Monday and Wednesday Zooms.
Right.
And part of his Zooms don't work. So I don't know what he does in that case.
The last Zoom that Paul had, it was so cute because he had Jordy sitting on it.
Oh, you put,
And it worked. It was
but
cute.
also, we've got kids, and I got another grandson, he just wants to stabilize or at the A minus, so he's a little bit lazy. He's satisfied with the A minus, and so he wants to know what he has to do that. That ain't gonna work. You know, I think we gotta set, I'm not with you, Jeff, we gotta set expectations. Now, I agree, there are some that may not do the best, but we got some good kids out there, and this is just a way, because originally the state made the mistake of coming out and saying, your grade won't drop, whatever they said. Kids got a hold of that, teachers repeated that.
Yeah,
To them, I'm sure.
it's changed 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
The guidance has. And so, and what they were finding is just like what you said, kids got a hold of that. And then at the high school, they're like, well, I'm not, a high school
Yeah.
age kid or a middle school, can't blame them. That's, and so.
Especially seniors. you know.
We've tried to just encourage accountability and encourage participation. And so, and what that looks like is, it's different in my house than it might be in someone else's house.
So if a senior was making an F when this pandemic came into effect, what opportunity do they have to up that? Can they go online to use the
Right.
VSP?
Right, and
Is that
so-
on computers that they have?
Yeah, okay, so every senior was contacted when this all, went down. So they contacted every single senior family and talked about, okay, these are the things you need, these are the credits you need to be able to graduate, and here's your plan. And so they've made sure some are on Edgenuity, some we've given devices to, some are taking an LCC class, and that's like a dual credit, so they're getting their senior English, except it's not senior English, it's Comp 1 or Comp 2, and that's a credit for high school and for LCC. And so I had 2 parents last week that called about that because the LCC work and expectation hasn't changed. I mean, it's online so now it's online instead of in person, but they're still expecting a whole lot of work and a whole lot of, it takes a long time. Whereas in high school now, the recommendation is that you don't spend more than 3 hours a day on work.
Yeah,
And-
colleges, with
Yeah.
trig, see, they
And
gotta
so
do
it's-
trig,
so
public
it's
speaking, they gotta do the whole,
It's
all.
way more if they're taking LCC classes. So there's some imbalance there, I think. I've gotten some feedback, regarding that, but that's an LCC class. It's a college class, and so it's different.
But in essence, it should have been harder anyway because it
It
is a
should have
college
been.
class. so-
Yes, and they should
Right.
have time to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not making a flat statement, if you don't do your work, your grade will go down. We're not saying that.
What we're saying is we expect everyone to participate and to be engaged. That's what we're saying. Because if we say no grades will change, then kids who are,
They'll shut off.
kids just won't do it. And we don't.
My reading of the newspaper article.
Well, that's what I was referring
Okay,
to.
Right.
said, if you're engaged in work, your grade could clearly go up.
Right.
Right.
If you're not engaged in work, your grade clearly will not go
Well,
up.
that's what I'm trying to clear
Right.
up.
That's what I
will not go
read, but you were mentioning it and going down. I'm talking about going up from where it was whenever this all started.
Right.
So if I've got a son that's on a B minus or an A minus or whatever, and he continues to do work, his grade can go up.
Exactly.
But if I've got somebody that's on a B minus or an A minus and they do nothing,
Their grade will not go up.
their grade's not gonna go up. Now, so is it gonna go down? I don't know where we're gonna be on this, but
Can it?
Well,
Can
that
it go
makes
down
more
if they don't turn
sense.
anything in?
It could go down if they didn't turn anything in.
I mean, if you don't do anything, why wouldn't it go down? I mean, I don't,
And see,
Well,
and the
after
thing,
Lori laid out all those circumstances, you got 3 kids in a family, 1 kid per computer, and you have to do this and change diapers and,
I think we just have to be really careful that we don't grade privilege. That we
Don't
don't
what?
say, here, grade privilege, by saying you have all of these things, and so these are the grades. Because then what we're doing is grading because someone has all of those things in their home. Does that make sense? Whereas, we don't want to do
I'm
that.
sure we have to take into account. But if somebody does nothing,
That's why we expect everyone to participate and to be engaged.
That's why the teachers were reaching out, trying to figure out,
How?
and we did the survey. What is your home environment like?
Right.
Give us a view, and the teachers are reaching out weekly. Trying to figure out, how are you doing? What's going on? And whenever they don't hear back from them for a week, they're saying, how are things going? So they're trying to figure out, what is the situation? It's on a student-by-student basis. What's the situation for this student in this household, so we understand what we can do for the child and how we can grade the child? That's the reality.
Do we have specific questions that the teachers are asking the parents as far as, tell me about your student's typical day? What does that look like from the time they get up till 5 o'clock? What is that typical day?
They have 3 questions.
Right, they always, how's the child? Is there anything that you need? Anything that we can help you with? Anything that you need and anything that we can help you with? And how is the learning going?
You certainly weren't home when that phone call was made to your kid.
So,
I'm glad my
Because the
wife is
teachers,
homeschooled.
no, the teachers asked to talk to the student.
Yeah, they did, and that's the
Right.
truth. And before, and the parents weren't involved.
Correct.
Well, for
I know
high
what the
school-
seniors say.
for high school, middle school, yeah.
Correct.
I know the seniors weren't.
Because they don't want,
Until I said something, then all of a sudden, his parents will contact.
because the teachers
Or they-
say, can I talk to the student? Because the
Exactly.
student's gonna, give an answer
Yes, they
that's
did.
maybe different than the parents'
Exactly.
answer,
Well, you
right?
know it's gonna be. They're gonna take the easy way out, we know that.
Well, no. In the sense of, how are you doing? Are you
Oh,
doing
yeah.
okay? In that sense.
Right. Well, parents, and people, those questions, people don't really like sharing what's going on in their homes, I'm telling you. It's-
Right. Well, and that's
And
why.
if you set the police to the door, they really don't like sharing what's going on in their
Well,
homes.
and I do know that they were very concerned, it was one family. I know other districts have done that as well. We had one family that I'm aware of, and we couldn't get a hold of anyone. And there'd been some issues with attendance prior to this, and so they were just checking to make sure the kid was still around. And the mom said, well, yeah, I'm around, I didn't know you were having school because of the corona. Well, yep, we're having school, so, and you know what? She picked up a packet today, I'm sure.
Well, but
So,
the question is like, do you feel safe?
right.
Exactly.
And they call Jagger, and Jagger's like, well, I feel safe right now, but my dad gets pretty angry at me when I don't do some things, and I don't feel so safe right then, No, he didn't say that, but that's the reality of it. He understood the
I have a
question.
grandson.
Yeah.
And so it's just a really, and this is something that if we start school next year in this format, then that's going to be different, in that there's going to have to be some, maybe more directed guidance in regard to grades or that kind of thing.
I would think in
That's-
elementary that those relationships would already be there. And you know what I'm saying? You'd have correct me if I'm wrong, Joanne, you taught elementary forever, but you know what kids are struggling.
Yeah, a lot of the
If-
teachers definitely know.
Exactly.
And-
So those relationships should already be formed, right?
And
Yeah.
if their teachers call and ask to talk, they want to talk to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just probably, in a lot of instances, confirming what the teachers already know. They're trying to confirm, and in a lot of instances, hopefully disconfirm their major concerns. But it gets back to learning and assessment and all that. And
that's
I don't have an
really-
answer.
I don't either. We're trying to do what's right for kids.
And if it's not working, then we need to
You're
do
right.
some adjustments.
Absolutely.
And make some changes.
Absolutely. Yep. And so that's like why we, after your suggestion, we offered that packet pickup twice instead of just once. And then the school buildings are still open for phone calls from 10 to 1. And so if somebody calls, there's always somebody there to answer the phone. So if the packet didn't get picked up or you need something, please call. Because we're still checking out devices too. If people need devices, we're still checking those out. And we can bring those and drop those by.
I think the message, to follow up on what Jeff said, is, as one board member, I just want the teachers to know and the parents to know that our district is trying to make your child as successful as possible education-wise during these really hard times that we haven't been through before. And we're not out to get anyone for a pound of flesh, and we'll do whatever we have to do individually to make you as successful as possible in these times. However, you define successful.
And for every
Which goes
kid,
back
it's
to your
different.
90-20.
So that's kind of where we're at as far as Parsons goes for our continuous learning plan. The state's offered a couple new deals. So now on PBS, they are offering 30 minutes twice a week. I thought this was really good, of elementary instruction. And it's like one time it's new and then the next time it's a repeat. And they're doing the same thing for middle school and high school. And so it's on PBS out of Kansas City, which is KCPT, and KPTS out of Wichita. We're going to put that stuff send that out so folks can look for PBS and find it with the schedule. And because it's like Teacher of the Year, and different folks that are sharing that. So that's good. And also, if you'd like for one of the Disney characters to read you a bedtime story, your student can call 1-877-7-MICKEY, and it's sweet. It's, so that's something else that they're happening. So, okay, meals. Okay.
One more question.
Yes.
And this was brought up for mostly women and some men in abusive homes.
Yes.
What is our mental health doing to help some of these kids that, how do they?
How are they still doing mental health?
You just don't go and ask them, they're being abused, but
Right.
what?
So they're still meeting. So we've got, we have the pilot program that we have, and then we have CHC, SEK, and so they're still meeting with kids. Sometimes they're doing a Zoom. Sometimes they do it in the yard.
The case managers are still going
Right.
out in the families. We have one case manager that takes meals so many days a week. It's just kind of all different, but all of the kids that were in the pilot that had a case manager, they're Zooming or there's some personal contact.
So if something did happen, DCF would be notified as we would
Yes.
do.
Yes, kids are
Before
being
this,
checked
okay.
on.
Yeah, they
Yes.
are being checked on. I drove by the other day in someone's yard and they were sitting out on two separate blankets, but they were just, 6 feet apart, social distancing, but able to visit. So that is still happening as well. Meals happen today. Okay, that goes back to reducing the exposure. So today we were going to hand out 3 days worth of meals. Whoa. We've ever handed out 3,100 and, it was almost 3,200 meals today were handed out. So we delivered today, the group did, for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we will be back at the bus stops in Mendota Creek, which is the bus stop, and then the 3 elementaries, middle school, high school, on Thursday for Thursday, Friday meals. But I wanted to publicly give a huge shout out to the following people: Carla Seacrest, Connie Blackburn, Tara Dyke, Stacy Johnson, Cheryl McClinning, and Jenna Derringer. Those ladies have made over 10,000 meals since this all started. And they are in there from 6 in the morning, working, packing stuff up 5 days a week. And they're feeding the kids of Parsons, and we could not do it without them. And they do it, and they smile. They have a mask on, so I don't know if they're really smiling. Today was a little hectic, there might not have been.
But there was no yelling.
Oh, no yelling, no yelling. So, and there are people at each of the schools, and those have stayed the same. So at Lincoln, Gary Weidert and Janet Shaw have handed out meals, Vicki Amor and Anthony Danker at Garfield, at Guthridge, Annie Smith and Sherry Marlowe, the middle school, Sue Smith and Carol Schonifer, at the high school, Bert Smith and Joy Hoffman, and then Linda and I get to go to Mendota every day. So, and then today it took some extra help. So Kurt Fries was running meals in the back of his truck, bringing them back and forth. Eric Swanson was. Rob, we went into the kitchen. He was helping him sack stuff up. He had on all of his gear, and he was doing that. Anthony Hauk helped today as well. So it really, when they say it takes a village, it really does. But those ladies in the kitchen.
So we have enough money to continue this for how long?
We're going to continue it through what would be our typical calendar when we would be out of school right now, which would be May the 21st. The hospital is doing the summer food program, and I think that starts in June, and so we may extend a couple weeks because we could do that with a waiver, or they may bump theirs up. I don't know. We need to visit about that to see. But the hospital is going to pick up summer feeding, that summer meal program. Yeah.
Lou, they're all reimbursable meals.
Yes.
So we'll reimburse from the federal
that's
government.
good.
for-
Right. Then we'll still have to pay OPA for we'll still have an OPA bill that we'll have to pay. Couple other normal school things. Tomorrow is the National Honor Society induction ceremony. It's at 7 o'clock. It's going to be via Zoom. So if you'd like to attend that, you are all welcome to attend that. Let me know and I'll send you the link. But it's tomorrow night via Zoom, National Honor Society, which will be good. Middle school promotion, that's come up a time or two. And so here's the middle school plan. They're putting together a video. You know, the big thing when you go to middle school promotion is the baby pictures anyway. That's what the kids really like, is that baby picture video. So they're doing some of that. There's going to be some speeches, and they're making, you know, a montage of something that will be out when it would be promotion time there in May. Graduation, they're still talking about that. Mr. Swanson and Mr. Barkus have talked to some groups of seniors. They're continuing to reach out to kind of see. I know some places have said, okay, we're going to set it for this date. I don't know. I don't think we're quite there yet. Since this is kind of the peak time for Kansas, I would say maybe in the next few weeks, we'll have a better idea of, you know, what we might be able to do. But that is still being talked about. It's not been forgotten or anything like that. So that's what I have, which was a lot. But
I got a quick question on the
Sure.
meals.
Yeah.
Somebody wasn't able to get white milk today. Are there not white milk available?
There is white milk and there's chocolate milk both. And so what they do is today it was 6 milks. And so they just count out 6 milks and put them in there and bag them. And so sometimes there's, you know, it's a variety, but they don't usually do a certain number.
But if a child doesn't drink because of the chocolate, something about the sugar, I don't know what it is, doesn't want, shouldn't they be able to get a white?
Some of those packets were mixed and
Most of them are mixed.
but I don't know, the lines we had today, Roger, I mean, we didn't have them at Mendota because,
Oh, I understand, but I just was wondering.
I guess, you know, if there were an allergy or some kind of a real concern, we just don't want to get into the, well, I want, you know, where it's a whole bunch of orders because we
No, I
delivered
understand.
3,000 meals today. But, so we tried, I think they try to mix it up, but it's not usually
If
just
it's
one or the
medical,
other.
it could be taken care
If
of.
it were medical and we knew ahead of time. And then what they would do is they would just make sure that it was made ahead of time. And if we knew what stop that student was going to, it could just be marked and
Okay.
put somewhere.
Good enough.
Yep.
So, meal-wise, how does that operate? Do they call you, do they sign a paper, or they just show up?
They just show up. Now, we do have some, a couple centers, like the Youth Crisis Center. We know how many meals that they have. And so that's made ahead of time and then they come and pick those up and that's boxed. Or
So
the
are the
other,
meals different sizes for like high school, middle school, grade school? They're all
No.
the same?
they're all the same.
I mean, some kids are more hungry than others.
Right. And for some kids, it'll be more like a snack than a meal, a high school kid. It could be. But
So
it is-
kids could
there's-
feasibly take it home and eat it all that day.
That's right.
That's one thing
Well,
I was thinking. I
Yeah, they
don't
could
know
eat
if they
the
would,
breakfast and
but
the lunch. Yeah, like today, all that food, I guess they could have. That would have been a lot.
at least over 2 days. But
Yeah,
I was
over 2
thinking about the
days.
third day.
Because it is 3 breakfasts and 3 lunches. Today it was. So Thursday it'll be 2 and 2.
I didn't bring those menus.
Oh, I didn't
But I
either.
think they had a chicken patty one day, a ham sandwich one day, and
And a
then,
turkey roll-up or,
or something another day. And then they have vegetables and fruit every day and the milk. The breakfasts are very popular. They
Yeah.
like the breakfast
they do like
because they're,
those.
What's breakfast?
Like, today was there's like these 3 little bagels that have like strawberry something and cream cheese in them. Kids were very excited today to get those.
they have cereal, a cheese stick, like one day last week, they had cereal, a cheese stick, and a milk and a juice.
Yeah, and then sometimes it'll be a yogurt and cereal.
French
and a milk
toast
and a juice.
sticks with syrup, the little bitty waffles that are this big,
Those
but they
seem to
like
be-
the breakfast.
Yeah, they do. So they eat it when we go to Mendota. I mean, they're excited about getting.
So let me see if so on Monday, they pick up for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Is that what you said?
Correct. Yes. Uh-huh.
That's kind of a double-edged sword. I know you're trying to avoid, can't you alter people that hand it out?
We could.
What's your concern, Lou? Give me your specific concern.
I mean, today we fed
I
about
don't
what we
understand when you say
typically
it's a
do.
double-edged sword.
you give some kids 3 meals, and like Roger said, some kids are gonna eat that food in the first day or two, at least maybe in the first day, because they don't have that, they have instant gratification, they want that stuff now. And then by the time Wednesday gets here, they don't have
Nothing,
that
yeah.
meal. I'm just saying some kids, so.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing that was a concern, like you get 3 milk, you get 3 milks for lunch and 3 milks for breakfast.
That's a lot of
So you have 6, and then if you have 3 kids, then you have 18
people
milks
wanted to- yeah.
to find somewhere to put them. I only had one person today tell me.
I don't
she-
have room in my fridge. Yeah.
Because I asked her if she wanted to take her brother's, because he has a couple of kids, and she said, I can't today, I don't have room in my fridge.
Right.
But, they're very grateful to get the
Oh, yeah.
meals, Lou. I mean, they are. They tell us, Lori and I have a different contact with them because they come to us and we divvy it out of the back end of a truck or a car. But they're very, very appreciative.
Yeah. There's one little kindergartner that is just so excited to get a school milk every day. Like, that's the highlight. Her mom has said more than once. She's just so excited to get, a school.
Well, I don't know
milk.
how you fix that.
There are school districts that give out all 5 days at once.
And I know, but I thought that was a good idea until I started thinking about
The
kids
logistics.
drinking all the milk in one day, eating all the sandwiches in one day, and then what do they have the rest 3 or 4 days? That's all I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to
So
start
then you
arguing,
hope
I'm
that
just
the
trying to
next week
say.
they think, oh, I better not eat all this. So, yeah, it's definitely a learning process for everyone. Every day we learn something new, so.
Can I ask a question regarding the OPA contract? I understand we have to pay the staffing, and I'm sure they're preparing the meals and things of that nature, but it looks different if we're getting federal funding for this, sack
Right.
lunches. Are we still contractually obligated to go ahead and pay them what we normally do as we're?
Well, we're going to have to pay them for the meal production and for the staff part of it, and then for supplies and for,
Sure.
but it may not, when it all shakes out, it may be different because like we don't have a la carte things that we're selling, and we don't have anyone that's paying full price for a meal or adult meals.
Okay, that's where I was
Those kinds of
curious
things,
if we were
yeah.
paying like we're
No.
in
Our
full
contract
time.
is a per meal basis.
Right.
It's a per meal basis,
Yeah.
our contract, and there were various different meals, and so
Okay.
your issue's satisfied.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And so we're not doing any catering, so we wouldn't pay for any of that.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So they won't be working again until Thursday, is that right?
So they're going to work tomorrow? No, that's just it. Because they're still working 5 days a week in the kitchen because it takes that long. They think, when I talked to Jenna today, she thought maybe Wednesday they could just work a couple hours. Because it's taking them that long to prep all those meals, to individually bag all those meals, then to bag them in groups. It's just, because they have to cook the chicken patties, all the different components of it. So they're still working. They are. But hopefully this week, she was thinking maybe half a day off. And then as we do it again and get better at it, the goal would be that they wouldn't be there 5 days a week. But cooking 3,000 meals and getting that out the door today it was an adventure. So
It's a lot.
it was a lot. They did a great job. Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Any more questions for Lori? If not, we'll move to 7.0, I'm sorry, 8.0, Tri-County report. And we did several things. We approved the engagement letter with the auditors for next year. We approved membership in KASB and the KASB Legal Assistance Fund. We hired all of our staff for next year, including hiring a new board clerk. And there's going to be a sale. We have sold the building, and there'll be a sale coming up on May the 14th for schools to go over and look and offer to buy equipment out of that building. The next day, the public will be allowed to go in and make bids as well on equipment that's still left over. So if you're interested in buying some shop equipment, there are pages of it. You might check with the especially co-op and see what they've got and if you want to buy any of it. Okay, we are ready for reports from the directors. Now, you have two of them in front of you, one from Tanya and one from James. Hope you've had an opportunity to look those over.
Those are just updates. Yep, updates.
Question on food service. According to this, we're going to bid out, we're not going to do it in-house, is that what you're saying? Bid out for food service?
Right, we currently have a contracted food service, we don't do it ourselves. We have a food management company, and so those agreements are good for 5 years.
Well, it's up at the end of this year, right?
Right, and so we've gone ahead and we've already sent it out to bid, the request for proposals, we've done that and attended meetings in Topeka and those kinds of things.
So I didn't hear it. Did you get bids back?
Yes, we have,
How
well,
many?
no.
No, we
We
it's
haven't
not
gotten
time
bids
yet.
back yet, no. That we have 3 companies that are interested and 2 of them that have asked a lot of questions. So we're still in the process of doing that.
Just out of curiosity, what other districts are using other companies besides OPA within 100 miles?
I don't know.
Taher,
I'd have to check.
which we had the first year, there's Taher, and then Lunchtime Solutions is also another one, but they don't have any schools in the state of Kansas. They're looking to come in. Because there's several, I forgot how many schools are bidding right now.
A number. But there are quite a few OPA schools around too. So, but I don't know exactly who does what. I'd have to send something out and ask. I don't know.
I was just curious how many schools around here just do it in-house.
I don't know.
Probably the
Fewer.
majority of your smaller schools do it in-house, my guess, and they get larger, more do the companies.
Just because of the purchasing power and the volume that we would purchase compared to a smaller school.
When we went to
For us.
we stopped doing in-house. It actually saved us money. I know Jeff was on that committee when we decided it.
It's the best
Because,
decision I've ever made as a board member, to go out of house, because we're not food service providers. We're educators. And whenever you have someone who's in the business of providing food and the selection of meals and the quality of meals, people have short memories. When we were doing it ourselves, the kids didn't eat squat. We didn't have any selection. It cost us more money.
And then
It's a no-brainer to me.
Then oftentimes at the end of the year, then we'd have to transfer funds out of the general fund to then cover
To
food
supplement
service.
it, and we've never had to do that one time.
We do not have to
It's
do that.
less costly, and we don't have to worry about the compliance aspect here as bad either, because we don't have to have that registered dietitian on staff, and the buck doesn't really stop here, it stops somewhere else. It's the best decision I've ever made as a board member.
Lots of
Well,
choices.
now the general public knows why we do that.
There's
well,
no
it's
question.
It's a great question.
You know, and
cost saving too.
like I said, memories are short. We are doing it for a reason, and a lot of reasons.
And whether those bids will be open 1 o'clock on the 30th, is that correct?
Well, they're due, yes. It would appear that's what, 1 o'clock on the 30th. So if someone would like to, if you want to attend those that day, right there at the DO, April the 30th at 1 o'clock. So right now we have 3 interested folks. I'm not sure if all 3 will actually turn in a bid, but we'll see what we get that day.
Any other questions on the director's reports? If not, we'll move to new business. 10.0, accept the donations.
Okay, so the donations are on page 25 in the board packet. This month Garfield had a donation from Interstate Studios for $209.67 and another for $27, so a total of $236.67. Lincoln Elementary had a $100 donation from Danny and Tony Williams for overdue meals to be credited to kids' accounts. At Guthridge, there weren't any. Middle school, there weren't. The high school, Michelle Smith, in the graphic arts program, donated posters, $430. PEO, the library program, books for $91.62. Strategic Partners made a donation to the PHS National Honor Society for $500. Bowen Pharmacy made a donation to the orchestra program for $300. And Stevens Vending Corporation for the Positive Reinforcement Program at the high school, $30.15, for a total of $1,351.77 at the high school. So the month's worth of donations was $1,688.44. I'd recommend that you approve that.
There's no
Move to
question.
approve.
Motion by Jeff,
Second?
Second by Joanne, to accept the donations. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 7-0. 10.1, action on membership to KASB for next year.
Okay. So there was some information in the view and in the packet, and Olivia had some good questions today. It looks like the total cost of this went up about $16 from last year. And then there was the question about the $1,500, the season pass, what exactly that was for, and whether we use it, which was a good question. And this last year, we have used it, because anytime we go to a KASB event, usually it's about $100, unless we're a member with the season pass. And so we've easily spent 15 of us have gone just in the last, we have HR meetings every Tuesday that they're doing on Zoom, and we've attended, some of us, a couple different Zoom things with KASB. And so that's what that $1,500 is for. So it's a total of $12,568.76. And that part is separate from the,
Aren't those Zoom meetings that we get on part of that funding?
yes, they are.
Because they're free for us, like when you and I were on that one, Lori was on that one the other day, it's free.
Because of the past.
There you go.
Right,
Don't you
because
think in
of
the
the
future, we're gonna have more, because of what's going on now, the training, instead of going somewhere, it's gonna probably be more Zoom, I would expect.
I think so. And then I think more people, will be able to
And then more
participate.
participation,
Yeah,
right,
I think
exactly.
you're right, because we're not
Pretty
going to
good,
have to
actually.
drive to Topeka.
I'm not going
That's
to
one of the
Colby.
good things that'll come out of this.
Yeah, that's one of the positive things. We're not going to have to be in the car and drive. So I would recommend that you approve that.
Move to approve?
Motion by Jeff,
Second?
second by Lou to approve membership in KSB. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 7-0. 10.2, this is for the KSB Legal Assistance Fund.
Okay, and that contract renewal is $2,100, which is what it was last year. I would highly encourage you. We have definitely used that, as I'm sure you're well aware.
I'll move to approve that.
Motion by Lou,
Second.
second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 7-0. 10.3 is reemployment of licensed staff. We have all those names in the packet.
I would recommend that you renew that group for 2021.
I just have one comment on this.
Okay.
And I'd already brought this up to Lori and Linda about funding for the next year. And they had indicated that they had been assured, and school districts had been assured, that we were going to receive funding. I don't-
They have assured us.
Similar or equal, or I don't know what the word was. And then the revenue estimates were coming out today. And right before we walked in this board meeting, they came out.
Oh, they did? Okay.
It's not good.
No.
And
waited.
for the next 10 weeks, we're down at the state $827 million for the next 10 weeks. Now, I have no problem with this action, but this board needs to understand, when you're talking $827 million in the next 10 weeks, that's not a small price. And then the projection for next year is already another 500 million down beyond that. People need to understand that that's got to come from somewhere, because we have to balance a budget and we can't go in debt as a state government, unlike the federal government. And so that's all I'm going to say about that.
And they did say, based on the legal action in the court case that was finalized last year, that there was still 2 years of that where Dale Dennis keeps saying you're gonna get the money. And so I also know that lots of folks are hiring, and so we want to make sure that we're able to keep good quality folks, that they don't, leave.
Dale Dennis don't sign the checks.
No, he's just been around a long time, and so I feel like,
Do you think, Jeff, we need to hold off on this to relook at some of the fat, if there is any? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't call it fat. We went through what would be kind of a guided reduction in force once before. And I would be surprised if we don't have to do that again. And maybe it's not this year, but the next year, because I would be shocked if the next year is not far worse than what we're dealing with here. We're probably okay now, but next year we've got a serious problem, and you know, we may have to look at it, but we're gonna have to reemploy our staff because we're not gonna know in time. This board just needs to be aware, we got a serious fiscal crisis. It's not just our state, it's all over,
National.
and everybody knows it. I
National.
mean, let's not, you know, let's get down to brass tacks. And that's the reality of it. I just don't know how the state's gonna make good on promises to K-12 education when we're 50% of the budget. Just don't see it happening. So,
Plus, we haven't even negotiated yet,
no.
so it makes it even harder, because we don't know.
So, I'll make the motion to approve reemployment of licensed staff for 2021, but this board needs to be aware, this is not going to be a good time.
Well, hold on, don't we have some more money coming from, besides the 441,000? From what I read on the KSP site, there was more federal money coming in under the CARES Act. That wasn't the CARES Act, is my understanding that you talked about.
Yeah, 441's not in CARES.
And so the state is getting additional money, the governor is getting additional money that she can then distribute out to K-12 education or to anyone that she so chooses. And it's my understanding they're hoping that some of that money she funnels towards special ed.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
It says $3 billion from the Secretary of Education in the United States
Betsy DeVos.
for block grants, emergency block grants. So was that 441,000,
No,
611?
that's not an emergency block grant. I don't know what the emergency block grant
Well,
would,
do
I
you know,
mean,
Linda?
no. I mean, we'll meet with KSD tomorrow. They might know something, you know, we meet with them twice a week, but an emergency block grant wasn't.
They've never mentioned that on
No,
any of our calls.
No, and Watson last week was waiting for a call from Ms. DeVos to talk
It'll be
about.
available within 3 days.
Now, I know in my LEPC group that there was funding available and grants available for small businesses, loans, maybe they were loans. And it didn't take an hour.
They're out
A day,
of
and they
money.
were already out of money. So, but I don't know anything about an emergency block grant.
All right, well, it came from the KSB site.
So I'm assuming they'll tell us about it tomorrow.
Okay.
So it must be something new since Friday.
What Jeff is talking about, it said, because of the coronavirus recession, Monday prompted downgrading of Kansas tax revenue projections in the next 2 years by 1.3 billion. So that's what he's,
Yeah, we would have been waiting for that to come out.
800 through June of this year and 500 next year. And let's just face it, the estimate for next year
Well-
is not going to go north of that, it's going to go south of that. So
So you want to keep that motion on the floor?
I'll keep the motion on the floor because we don't have any choice. I mean, because we're not going to have any, the bottom line is this. Let's say we delay it a month, we delay it 2 months, we delay it as long as you want. I mean, we have to renew our staff. We're not going to have any better information. We just need to
Just be
understand as a
aware.
board, we're going to potentially be robbing from Peter to pay Paul on some of these things to pay our staff. And our staff need to understand that too.
Well-
We're committed to them. We're committed because that's who we are
And
as a
we
staff.
can't delay it, folks, because continuing contract law
Correct.
kicks in
Correct.
in the middle of May.
I know,
Before
we have to do it.
So we have to do it now or have a special meeting prior to.
The reality is, the funding is going to be eventually a problem. There's no way under,
And again, like you said, the staff needs to know that, and the general public
right.
needs to know
That's
that.
We're in different times. I mean, and
Right.
everybody needs to realize that. And it's going to affect education.
It is.
and our teachers, in order to do a good job, need to know they've got a job.
That's exactly right.
You know what? I mean, that's what they need to know. And so I'm all for the motion.
Oh, and I
They
think they
need
will know that.
security,
I
they
feel
need to know they're
appreciated.
employed
They
next
do
year,
their job.
because we're going to be asking more of them potentially in the fall than we're asking of them now.
Exactly.
Right.
I agree with you.
So I have a motion from Jeff. I need a second.
Second.
Second, Joanne. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Okay, that carries 7-0. 10.4, action on the bids for E-rate services. That's the last page of your packet, I believe.
It is.
One question.
Yes.
These wireless access points licenses, can you explain? Do you know what that's about?
Well, we're getting faster internet, and so we need the equipment that can support that.
Okay,
And so that's what those wireless access points are.
okay.
So that it can support the faster internet. So really, E-rate is going to pay $211,000 of this bill. And so the district's portion would be $33,361.
I have no problem with that. I'm just wondering going forward. and
We're
I
really
don't-
going to need the internet.
Yeah, are we going to need more of this and more of that, given our
Well,
financial and internet demographics?
right. I think what this is going to do is it's going to take us from 1 gigabyte to 10 gigabytes. This is a 5-year deal, and so we're at the
Gotcha.
very end of 5 years. And so that's why now we can go from the 1 gigabyte to the 10, so the internet's going to be much faster, which I do think we're going to need. But then we have to have the equipment that can support that, both wirelessly, and then, of course, we need the firewall as well.
Okay.
So I would recommend that you approve that. I think this has
Well,
probably
hold
been
on.
texting me.
John Heim on Twitter asked me to read this little statement about E-rates, and it's a direct letter to Ajit Pai, the FCC Commissioner, former Parsons High School graduate. It's a call to action on home internet for students. KSP and the National School Board's Action Center are urging school board members and other Kansas education leaders to call on Congress to help fix the homework gap that makes online learning difficult or impossible for the 70,000 Kansas students without reliable home internet access. The call to action urges Congress to provide $2 billion in new funding to the E-rate program that serves schools and libraries, and to press the Federal Communications Commission to use its authority to allow that funding to pay for home internet access for students. So that's a letter to Mr. Pai.
And it would be great if they did that. And that would be that, with that E-rate funding that they're asking for, that they're encouraging, it won't be available until 21-22, because this, for the 2021 school year, these plans are due in 10 days. So I would, but I don't think we have found and just seen in the last few weeks that gap of internet, no internet, access, no access. And so this will get us faster internet and equipment and to make sure we can run it. So, and it'll,
Have you had any parents or guardians call in to say they don't have access to the internet or having issues? Yes.
when the teachers talk to them, that's something that they check on. And so we always encourage them, if they can, to go to one of the 4 schools, or to go to the movie theater, or to
And
go.
obviously, some can't do that.
Right, and some can't do that. So, and there are no hotspots available. The little hotspots or backpacks or whatever you call them, we have a number of those that that are on order. We're still waiting. So,
Any other questions? Now I need a motion to approve this E-rate bid services. Is that you?
absolutely.
Motion by Lou,
Second.
second by Olivia. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 7-0. 10.5, this is a Parks and Rec Commission request for a mill levy increase. Lou, you're on that board, right?
When we had our meeting with Dr. Legler, myself, and Gary Chrisman, and I forgot who else, Jeff Perez, they actually wanted 3 mills. I said, no, I don't think that's going to happen. So finally, we convinced Gary to just ask for 1 after he communicated with you guys. So I think it's a fair deal. They worked their tails off over there
They did.
and really have improved the rec center quite a bit, in my opinion.
Well, I think our rec center is
I do
a
too.
huge plus for our community.
And he talked, when Gary sent the information that was in the view, he mentioned that in the last decade, the staff has tripled in size, and the programs, the membership has grown, facilities has, that has grown as well. So they're requesting.
Is your request 1 or 0.9?
Well, and see, so the note said 0.9, but the actual resolution that they signed says 1.
Okay,
So I said 1.
okay, 1.
And I must say, Dr. Legler, who's on our board, I'll tell you what, he's an advocate for kids. Everything he does is always trying to better the environment for our young kids in Parsons,
And opportunities, so.
in the general area.
Lou, I got a question about it. This is something I've asked twice before. I'm not keen on the Parsons School District collecting this tax. I think the city should collect the tax. And here's why, because there's parts of the city, mainly to the west of town, who don't pay anything.
That's true.
And then there's many rural people from here to the Cherokee, Crawford County line to the Neosho County line. They're paying on it. I don't even think they know they pay on it. Because on the tax bill, all it says is USD 503. There's no recreation, none of it's broken out. To me, that's not fair.
I don't disagree. When Sam Blueball was on the board, we tried to get a change. It takes more than an act of Congress to change it. I don't know how to do it. I've tried. And I've been on 7 years.
Roger, what they told me in the beginning, the reason it was on the school district, because the valuation was higher for the
Right.
school district than the city. But I think the city now has a higher valuation, so they would get more. But I'm like Lou, I don't know how they do it.
But you understand, you can be 4 miles from McEwen and you're paying a Parsons rec tax.
And you can
Or
live
2
in,
miles south of Strauss up against Cherokee County and you're
No,
paying.
you're right. We tried to make it just Parsons. And if you figure out how to do it, let us know.
Is that something we could investigate and see how we get that change made in the next couple of years?
Well, I've asked that a couple times, but I just, how many total mills does the rec center have?
I don't
they
know.
will have 6.9, almost 7.
Let's see.
They have
Well,
one
And then they
that's
have one
benefits.
that's for benefits.
5 and 1.
right.
I thought it was 6.
So,
6.
Is it 6 total or 5 or 6 and 1?
is it 6
Oh,
and
6
1?
and 1?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's one for benefits, and then the other is
5.
So 5.
5 or 6.
I may be wrong. I don't know.
It's gonna be
I
6
think
or
it's in here
7,
somewhere.
one or 2.
But I think that's a good idea. It would help the
It
rec
is a
too.
good idea.
But I don't know. I'll ask Tanya if she'll maybe get a hold of the state, because they sent all the regulations to her from the
It's
state.
similar to changing the boundary lines for USD 503.
I think it's something
Jeff
that
was
everyone
on
has
that.
to agree on. And
Yeah, but the only problem with that issue was it wasn't agreed to by both parties. If the city and the school district agreed to it, I don't know why it would have to be a problem. We had a problem when we had boundaries because we had other districts that are involved that didn't agree to the boundary change.
Jeff Perez is on this board, and I thought he talked to Debbie, but I'll double check. Debbie Lamb.
So we'll look into that and get a report next month.
in the coming, I'd say, May or June.
Thank you.
So you still need action on this one.
Right.
Still need action. And a good thing about it, doing it this time with our capital, or our bond and interest going off, this will not cause an increase in
Not raise taxes.
taxes. Depending on the valuation of the district.
And the delinquent taxes.
So I would accept a motion to approve this request for a 1 mil increase from the Recreation Commission.
Move to approve.
Motion by Joanne,
Second.
second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Carries 7-0. Talking with Lori, unless all you have something for executive session? Anyone? Nobody has anything for executive session? We'll move to 10.7, which is action of personnel.
Okay, I recommend Crystal Finley, preschool teacher for 2021 school year, Amber Klanowski is a bus driver, effective March the 30th. Linda Moore, high school 10th grade language arts, effective next year. Jordan Murphy, custodian, effective March the 18th. Mary Norris, second grade teacher for the 2021 school year. Alicia Pollard, third grade teacher for the 2021 school year. And Caleb Reed is the high school soccer coach, effective the 2021 school year. I recommend that you approve those folks for employment.
Any questions? If not, accept the motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by Jeff,
Second.
second by Lou. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried 7-0. Resignations.
Okay, Tambry Davis, third grade teacher, effective the end of this school year. Emily George, 10th grade language arts, effective the end of the 1920 year. Chris Langolius, middle school evening custodian, effective April the 3rd, 2020. Ashlyn Schwartz, elementary PE teacher, effective the end of the 1920 school year. And Holly Smith, 5th grade teacher, effective the end of the 1920 school year. I recommend that you approve those resignations from employment.
I so moved.
Olivia,
Second.
second by Roger. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried 7-0. Nothing else before Lou?
Is it possible if the board wants to change the times that we meet to an earlier time for, at least for the next one?
Works for me.
How early?
I don't know, 3, 4, depends.
How does that work?
5:30. I mean, I can move it up a little bit, but I still have to work.
5:30.
6 a.m.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Someday we'll be 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Oh, my mask.
Not early?
No,
Not 6
I
a.m.?
got one today.
Did you
May the 18th.
just get mine too?
When is it?
May the 18th.
Get over it.
So 5:30, May the
5:30 is
18th.
good.
5:30?
5:30 is good for me.
Is that through the summer?
Can you do that?
Is that through the summer, or is that just this month or next month?
Just
do it next
for the
month
time
and-
being. Well, I don't know.
Well, what we need to do is put it on for next month, and then if we want to change it for the rest of the summer, then we need to have it as an action item on the agenda.
I mean, I'm good probably for next month. I mean, it's just, I don't want to have conflicts,
Once school starts.
remaining months. I mean, I don't know what my schedule looks like, but, I should be okay for next month.
Okay,
Okay.
great, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you all very much. Have a good, safe
Be
month.
safe, yeah, wash your hands.
I have this.
Oh, yeah.
We all have to sign.
Thank you.